What's something that feels fake but is 100% real? Elephants can swim continuously for 6 hours in a day and up to 25 miles. 100% real. They can also run pretty fast, so my only hope to beat one in a triathlon is on the bike. Do you have reason to believe that you are faster on a bike than an elephant? Their performance in running and swimming suggests that they may also be excellent cyclists. Cleopatra lived closer in time to us than the creation of the pyramids. When Cleopatra was alive, the pyramids were already ancient. Ancient Egyptian architecture was a valid field of study in what we now consider ancient Egypt. It takes light 4.24 years to get from Earth to our closest neighbor star, Proxima Centauri. The fastest vehicle ever constructed by humans, Voyager 1, travels at 10.5 miles per second. At that speed, a flight from New York to London would take 5 minutes. And at that same speed, it would still take it almost 75,000 years to reach Proxima Centauri. I've always wondered, what if aliens haven't invented FTL? What if they just have half-millennial lifespans? There's a very real possibility that the speeds necessary for serious space travel are impossible, and only a few species live long enough to see the universe. Yep, the distances are so vast and travel is so slow. And you'd have to be talking about a situation where two advanced civilizations are trying to reach the other at around the same time frame. It feels like winning the lottery that we'd ever find anyone else and be able to have meaningful conversations. We can't have meaningful conversations to dolphins, and they're basically our cousins, so it's difficult for me to imagine doing it with a species that evolved somewhere entirely differently. A T-Rex lived closer in time to modern-day humans than it did to a single stegosaurus. This one always blows my mind. Another dino fact that gets me, the main extinction happened approximately 64 million years ago. A very long time until you look at how long they were here. Around 120 million years, other than avian relatives. One thing that always blows my mind, accounting for this sheer expanse of time, is that if you took the entire history of the Earth and compressed it into a calendar year, humans only showed up around 11:25 km on December 31st, fashionably late to the party. Similarly, if you compress the history of the universe into a year, humans have been around for about 6.9 seconds. ETA, for the universe to year scale, 6.9 seconds for recorded human history, aka since we developed writing basically. Homo sapiens were around for about 11.5 minutes. ETA 2. On the Earth to year scale, dinosaurs only went extinct mid-December. And yet sharks have existed for about 4% of the universe's existence since the Big Bang. They've completed over 2 galactic orbits. Sharks predate many of the features that astronomers study in deep space. Alright, a tiny break. I set myself a goal to reach 100 subs before the month ends, so if you're still here, maybe drop a like and subscribe. Let's see if we can actually pull it off. Let's continue. There are a few rivers in the Appalachian Mountains older than the Atlantic Ocean that they now drain into. The Appalachian Mountains are older than land animals, dinosaurs, and even trees. And Polaris, the North Star, which is only 70 million years old. How did the dinosaurs find their way without the North Star, I wonder? If you want a serious answer, modern birds have iron particles in their brain which act as an internal compass that allows them to sense the Earth's magnetic field. Birds are living dinosaurs, so there's a chance that they may have actually inherited this trait from their ancestors. This actually is a minor plot point in the first Jurassic Park novel. The clouds, water, just hanging out there in the sky, sure sounds like bullshit to me. Feel the same way about planes. You mean heavy metal can just fly and not fall? Flying is a goddamn miracle of human intelligence, and all people do is complain about it. You just flew across the planet in 12 hours. Statistically speaking, every single true shuffle of a deck of cards ever made has likely ended up in a different order than every other one, as there are just that many possible ways 52 cards can be ordered. This is the one I can never truly wrap my head around. More ways to shuffle a deck of 52 cards than there are atoms in the known universe. I understand the math, and I believe it must be true based on the numbers, but it's not something my brain can accept. Atoms on Earth, not atoms in the universe. Still incredible in my opinion. Probably not true. Best estimates have the universe containing about 10 to the 80 atoms, and the standard 52 card deck can only support 10 to the 68 permutations. Australia is wider than the moon, about 4,000 kilometers versus 3,474 kilometers.
It doesn't help that Australia's size is so misrepresented on maps because of how the distortions work farther from the equator. It's nearly the size of the continental US. Axolotls. I've seen them with my own eyes, and I cannot be convinced they weren't created in the imagination of some genius scientist out there. And octopuses. They're aliens, right? Yes. And they're not your garden variety alien either. Let's make them extra intelligent terrestrials to mess with you further. I'm a diver, and nothing gets me more excited on a dive than the presence of an octopus. Cuttlefish too, I'd say. I was doing a safety stop in the Andaman Sea a few years ago, and a cuttlefish hung out with me. We just gazed into each other's eyes and had what I can only call a moment. I've done over 100 dives, not a ton, but a decent amount, and it's in the top 5 most memorable experiences. Noise cancellation feels like something out of a bad cartoon. Animated Three Stooges stuff. Sound is a waveform, so if I just make the opposite waveform, it cancels out and makes silence. Yeah, sure, Professor Poindexter. Now tell me about the time machine that takes us to the past where humans are riding dinosaurs. We had so much fun with that when I was working at a recording studio. You can set 2 identical mics up facing each other, so they go out of phase, then add a third at a perpendicular angle. The LR mics will go silent until you raise the gain on the third mic, and suddenly there's an incredible stereo sound. It took 4,300 lifespans before humans were able to circumnavigate the Earth in a wooden ship with cloth sails. From there, it took 5 more lifespans to land on the moon. It's wild how quickly things advanced once people got a grasp of basic scientific principles. Crossing the ocean on a wooden ship is really difficult if you start from scratch with no prior knowledge. The vast difference between a million and a billion. A million seconds is 11.5 days. A billion seconds is nearly 32 years. As the saying goes, what's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire? $1 billion. A smartphone. Go back 500 years and tell someone that a single hunk of metal, glass, plastic, and minerals mushed into a brick that can be used to communicate with other humans, show unlimited entertainment, provide you with all information known to mankind, can be used to deliver food or alcohol to your door, or summon a metal box to pick you up and travel to places. It can also send money and receive money, turn off on lights, be used to gamble, and basically manage almost every aspect of your life. I reckon your point stands if you go back 30 years ago. There were cell phones in 1995. The internet was becoming widespread. It was the beginning of the dot-com bubble that would burst 5 years later. A quarter of households had a PC. I don't think it would blow someone's mind that in the future they would put the functions of the PC inside the cell phone. It might not be their first thought, but I don't think it would be that crazy. Morocco was the first country to recognize US independence and is our oldest ally. They fought against the South during the Civil War too. One of the first treaties of the United States was in Arabic. Unrelated, but the reason why Morocco has a pavilion in Epcot in World Showcase at Disney World, because their government sponsors it. That every single person you pass on the street has an entire life as complex as yours. That one's always so weird to me. And all those houses you pass have entire lives, multiple even, going on inside of them. There's no telling what's going on. You could share a wall with someone who has an apartment full of real dolls. They could be in their tub right now taking pictures of little dolls they've made of cheese. They could have someone locked in a room that they treat like an animal. There's so much going on and so many houses in just a single neighborhood. Dream deja vu. When something happens and you're like, I've seen this before, but it was in a dream from years ago. It's eerie and makes you question if your brain is messing with timelines. I vaguely remember reading a study about how the brain does mess up the timelines and that deja vu is the brain glitching in memory storage by putting something happening now into long-term memory, giving the feeling that something has happened before when it was just stored now. Joe Biden was born closer to Lincoln's second inauguration than he was to his first and only inauguration. World War II was closer to the American Civil War than it is to the present day. So that's it for today's story. Write down what's something that feels fake but is 100% real. If you had fun listening, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and tap the little bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for hanging out. See you soon.